Hello everybody, it is Tom and welcome to another video. So, hey. Full disclosure, I am still recovering from COVID, but I am looking less like a holiday reindeer in the nose department, so I thought it might be safe for me to be on camera again. So here we are. So today it's going to be a fairly simply video. Let's try that again. So today it's going to be a fairly simple video, just me talking about the book that I just finished reading, which I had originally intended just to put a few words about it on Twitter, but I kept having too much to say and getting really irritated at the character limit, and so I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just make a video. So the book I'm going to talk about today is Paris Daillencourt Is About to Crumble, which is a memorable name for sure, even though I feel like the choice of last name is a bit, like, in terms of remembering the name of this book, I can remember Paris, I can remember Is About to Crumble, but Daillencourt is difficult for me to keep in my mind. But I do think it's a name that fits the main character very well. But in any case, so this book is by Alexis Hall, who some of you may know as the author of Boyfriend Material and Husband Material, both of which are very good. Fake dating tropes, always a winner in my book. This book, too, I really enjoyed. Like, I really liked Boyfriend Material, I really liked Husband Material, and this book, too, I really enjoyed. But it's not one that I think I can read again, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so the basic premise of this book is anxious gay boy participates in the Great British Bake Off. Although, it's the fictional equivalent. It's not actually the Great British Bake Off. I want to say it's called Bake Expectations or something like that. But whatever the case, you have this young guy named Paris who is in college. He lives... Let me see. When I was writing my notes, I wrote down... Yes, okay. So Paris, I have anxious, over-apologizing hot mess with undiagnosed anxiety, a talent for baking, and two rich, famous parents who have forgotten he exists. So that is the summary of the main character, Paris. I think Alexis Hall does characters very well, and especially there's always a lot of fun and or funny side characters in his work, and this is no exception. Definitely one of the good points of this book is the characters. The characters are very complex and very interesting, and there's a lot going on there. Paris's parents basically jet set around the world all the time. His dad is a famous fashion designer, and his mom is a famous fashion model, and they just jet set all around the world, and they left him in a really expensive apartment with all the money that he could ever need, but they don't actually talk to him. It's been like over a year since he's spoken to them, and he's always sending them text messages that they never reply to and stuff like that. So Paris, over the last few years, has become more and more of an anxious sort of person, to the extent that it's very difficult for him to be out with people or having any kind of relationship or friendship or anything like that. And his self-esteem is also rock bottom. Like, if you think that Charlie Spring apologizes a lot or takes a lot of responsibility onto himself for the bad things that happen in the world, Paris is like a whole other level. His roommate notices that Paris is really good at baking, and so she signs him up for this baking show, thinking that getting out and doing something he loves and also seeing that he's not shit at everything will help him. So unfortunately, it doesn't quite go that way, and Paris has a really challenging time at the baking show. But he also meets, and apologies if I absolutely massacre this name, but his name is Tariq, which is Tariq, and Tariq is another contestant on the baking show. And my summary for Tariq is flamboyant gay Muslim who is both proudly devout and proudly gay. And Tariq is another really interesting character. And I think that's one of the best things about this book, that both of the main characters are very interesting and complex in different ways. And it's clear that they really like each other, but it's also really understandable why they go through some challenges in their relationship, because you know, Tariq has this thing where, like, at first he kind of sees Paris's anxiety as charming and, like, as something that he can fix with his love. And eventually, of course, he realizes that he's not able to, and that kind of, throws him for a loop. So I do think that it's very good that this book does not go the way of love can fix you or love can fix your mental health issues. It's really positive mental health messaging in this book. So the basic plot, Paris goes on this baking show and he meets Tariq, and Tariq really likes him and Paris really likes Tariq, but they run into some challenges and things, and they both, I would say, they're both very complex and realistic characters, and there are some fundamental things that cause difficulties between them. One of which is Paris's anxiety, and the other is, so Tariq, he's a very devout Muslim, and as a result, he doesn't believe in sex before marriage. So one of the very interesting things about this book is that there is no sex in it. I mean, there's off-screen sex that's mentioned regarding Paris's roommate, who is very, very sexually active, but the main character never engage in sex. Sex is just not a part of it because Tariq is not, he's not interested in doing that until after marriage. He only wants to have sex with one person, and that is his future husband, and that's something that Paris has to, think about if he's okay with that and if he can be in a relationship that doesn't have a physical component, or at least doesn't have that physical component. Whereas Tariq, on the other hand, is approaching Paris's mental health issues as something he can fix or something he can help with as kind of a project, and that's something that he eventually has to realize is not possible. So, like, I did really enjoy this book. One of the reasons, or maybe the main reason why I will not be rereading this book, is that we eventually find out that Paris has generalized anxiety disorder. And I also have generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder and a bunch of a potent cocktail of anxiety disorders. So reading a very realistic portrayal of someone with severe anxiety was not always fun for me. Obviously, it was very relatable. And while reading it, I was like, oh man, oh geez, oh yeah, that, yeah, I've been there. But at the same time, my own anxiety definitely spiked several times while reading this book because it is such a very realistic portrayal. So if you yourself suffer from anxiety, I would say approach with caution. Now, the book handles it, as I said, it's at least in my experience, a very realistic portrayal of what anxiety is like. Severe anxiety. Like, he is a very, very severe version of anxiety. So it's a very realistic portrayal, and it shows him failing to cope with it, and then finally finding ways to cope with it, which include medication and therapy and learning how to think about things differently and, how to live with it. And I do like that it doesn't show any kind of magic cure for anxiety or mental health issues in general. It shows that, being with someone who loves and cares for you is not enough, but it can help a little. And being on medication can help. And going to therapy can help. And making strong friendships can help. So it shows all the things that can help. But at no point does it say, like, you just have to get over it, or, this is all you need. Just do this and you're cured. Like, it doesn't do that. It's very realistic. And I do think it also goes some very interesting places with Tariq, talking about how he reconciles being very religious, but also being very proud to be gay. And, there's just a lot of interesting stuff going on in this book. And so, yeah, overall, I feel like I recommend it. It's not a light and fluffy read. It has a lot of funny moments. And the baking show stuff is spot on. Like, if you're a fan of the Great British Bake Off, you will recognize a lot. You will enjoy those aspects of it for sure. But it is easy to drown a bit in Paris's anxiety. And if drowning in anxiety is not something you want to do for, a significant portion of the book, this may not be the book for you. But, overall, I really enjoyed reading it, and I thought it was well done. And there's a lot about it that is good. So, and if you like Alexis Hall's other books, you'll probably like this one as well. It's just, and I just found it kind of refreshing to see this kind of character in a queer romance, because it's not often that the main character of a queer romance is this kind of character. And that was very refreshing. I liked seeing a person who struggles with the same kinds of things that I struggle with in a book. So, yeah. So, that's about it, I guess. I am tired, and I had like a very annoying coughing fit earlier, which I'm hoping does not happen again. So I'm trying to keep my throat moist, so I shouldn't talk for too much longer. But God, I said moist. Oh, yeah. But yeah, have you read this book? Have you read Alexis Hall's other books? What are your thoughts? Tell me things in the comments. Okay, so there were actually 2 more donations to my top surgery GoFundMe in the last day or so. So I wanted to say a huge thank you to Anonymous, who donated $30, and Andre P, who donated $50. So thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so the surgery is scheduled for late April, and even if we don't hit the $8,000 target, I'm beyond blown away that we've managed to raise this much. So thank you so much to everyone who has donated. I really cannot tell you how grateful I am. All right, well, as always, thank you for being here and watching and liking and commenting and subscribing and all that fun stuff. And a huge thank you to our patrons, and a special shout out to our Nick Nelson members, Kelly Walker, Book Nerd Charlie, and Paul Z. You are all awesome. All right, well, I will see you guys next time. I hope you're having a lovely whatever time of day it may be. So, that's all.